In the modern world, where attention has become the most precious currency, the ancient principle of semen retention stands as a rebellion against internal chaos and external manipulation. Every man is born with a finite reserve of vital energy, a sacred fire that fuels his creativity, drive, and spiritual ascension. Yet, in a society engineered to distract, tempt, and drain this essence, most men unconsciously scatter their fire in the name of pleasure, validation, and escape. The wasted fire is not just about abstaining from physical release. It is about reclaiming mastery over one's life force, redirecting it from lust to legacy, and from indulgence to inner power. Semen retention is not suppression, it is transmutation. The energy that once fueled desire can be converted into creative intensity, emotional strength, and mental sharpness. Every act of self-control is an act of spiritual alchemy. The man who retains his seed learns to redirect the sexual current upward, from the base instincts of survival to the higher centers of creation. He begins to radiate a quiet dominance, a magnetic aura that others can sense but cannot explain. This is not mystical fantasy. It is the science of energy management, the art of controlling the very fuel that drives human evolution. Modern lust is not natural, it is manufactured. Algorithms, advertisements, and media are designed to exploit the male instinct for procreation, turning it into a mechanism of profit and passivity. Men are bombarded with erotic imagery, short dopamine spikes, and emotional manipulation that fragments their willpower. Each indulgence depletes the fire of purpose. Each moment spent chasing stimulation is energy diverted from building, learning, or leading. The man who cannot master his desire becomes a pawn in systems that thrive on his weakness. Reclaiming the wasted fire means cutting off the energy supply to these invisible parasites and redirecting it toward personal sovereignty. To understand semen retention, one must first understand what semen truly represents. It is not just biological material, it is the condensed essence of vitality. Each drop carries the potential to create life, to manifest the next generation. When this creative force is conserved, it nourishes the mind, strengthens the body, and deepens awareness. Ancient yogis, Taoists, and warriors understood this truth. They saw sexual energy as a sacred reservoir of divine potential. To waste it carelessly was to extinguish the very light of consciousness. The man who practices retention learns to channel this essence into his goals, relationships, and spiritual purpose. The wastage of semen is the wastage of direction. Every time a man indulges in lust without consciousness, he loses not only physical energy but also spiritual momentum. Overindulgence leads to dullness, indecision, and emotional volatility. The mind becomes fogged, the will weakens, and the fire of ambition fades into ash. Retention, on the other hand, creates pressure, a sacred tension that fuels transformation. This pressure must be transmuted, not repressed. When guided through meditation, movement, and discipline, it becomes a current of creative power that shapes destiny itself. In the age of distraction, lust is the most effective weapon against masculine awakening. Social media, pornography, and casual relationships create an illusion of abundance, while robbing the man of his true wealth, his focus. Each lustful thought consumes psychic energy, scattering attention across meaningless stimuli. Semen retention restores the mind to stillness. It trains awareness to rise above impulse and see desire for what it truly is: energy-seeking direction. Once this energy is harnessed, it can be used to build empires, master skills, and awaken dormant potential. The man who reclaims his focus becomes unstoppable. Because he no longer fights the external world, he commands the internal one. True freedom begins with mastery over one's urges. The retained man learns to detach from the transient highs of stimulation and discovers the enduring peace of control. He is no longer swayed by seduction or guilt, for he has turned inward to meet his own completeness. His masculinity becomes sacred, not performative. His interactions with women become grounded in respect and awareness, not desperation or fantasy. He stops chasing pleasure and starts embodying presence. This shift transforms relationships. Where once there was neediness, there now stands power. Where once there was lust, there now burns love. Energy, when contained, begins to radiate. The retained man becomes magnetically attractive, not because of superficial appearance, but because of vibrational strength. His words carry weight, his gaze holds depth, and his actions are deliberate. Women, opportunities, and respect are naturally drawn to him because he has reclaimed his inner fire. The irony is that once he stops seeking external validation, everything external starts seeking him. This is the paradox of retention. The less you give away your energy, the more the world gives you its attention. However, retention without purpose leads to frustration. The conserved energy must be guided toward creation. Exercise, meditation, breathwork, and intellectual pursuits become outlets through which the fire refines itself. The goal is not celibacy, but conscious direction. The energy that once fueled addiction now fuels growth. Every project, every dream, and every challenge becomes an arena for transmutation. The man becomes a living furnace of transformation. turning his desires into discipline and his fantasies into focus. The process is not easy. The mind will rebel, the body will tempt, and the world will test. The journey of semen retention is a journey through temptation itself. But through each victory, no matter how small, the fire grows stronger and purer. The man learns to trust himself again, to believe that he can command his nature rather than be enslaved by it. In this trust, his self-esteem deepens. He no longer needs validation, because he knows he possesses the source of power that all others seek. Discipline becomes his prayer. The act of restraint becomes a declaration of faith in his higher potential. Retention sharpens not just the mind, but the soul. It aligns the physical, emotional, and spiritual layers of being into one focused direction. Every day of conservation becomes a brick in the fortress of willpower. The man who once drifted through life now moves with clarity and conviction. His fire, once wasted in fleeting pleasure, now illuminates his path with purpose. In the grander sense, semen retention is a rebellion against the modern machine that feeds on male distraction. It is the conscious refusal to be drained by the illusions of lust, fear, and consumption. It is the reclaiming of primal sovereignty, the return of the king to his throne. When a man guards his energy, he guards his destiny. His aura becomes impenetrable, his focus razor-sharp, and his mind free from manipulation. The same energy that once enslaved him becomes the key to his liberation. The world has no shortage of men, but it hungers for men of depth, power, and presence. Semen retention is the path that forges such men. It burns away weakness, excuses, and dependency, leaving behind a being of pure intent. The retained man does not speak of strength, he embodies it. He does not chase success, it gravitates to him. His every breath becomes a declaration of mastery. His every silence a field of power. He is not driven by lust, but by purpose. Not by desire, but by destiny. Ultimately, the wasted fire is a call to remembrance, a reminder that within every man burns a sacred flame meant to illuminate the world, not be consumed by it. Distraction and lust are thieves that steal the divine inheritance of creation. But through awareness, restraint, and transmutation, that lost energy can be reclaimed. To retain is to remember. To remember is to awaken. And to awaken is to reignite the fire that never truly died. The journey begins when a man decides that his energy is no longer for waste, but for worship, work, and wisdom. Thus, semen retention becomes more than a practice. It becomes a philosophy, a way of living with reverence for one's own essence. The man who guards his seed guards his soul. He learns that the greatest pleasure is not in losing energy, but in mastering it, not in escape, but in evolution. The fire that once burned him now becomes the light that guides him. And when he finally reclaims the energy lost to distraction and lust, he does not just save his power, he becomes it. If this video charged your internal battery, please show some love. Give this a quick like and subscribe to make sure you never miss an energy upgrade. I love seeing our global community grow, so please drop your location in the comments. It fuels the channel. If you've got questions that need an answer or want to connect with like-minded people, find us on Telegram, link below. Let's spread this power. Take a moment to share this with your crew. Have a truly powerful day.